What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to review Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, I'm going to try to keep this very spoiler-free in the beginning and then go into spoilers. There's truly not too much you can say about this movie without going into at least one major spoiler that the trailers actually did a pretty good job of hiding. So I'm going to, try to weave in and out here. So overall thoughts, I'm actually pretty confused of how to think about this movie. I was telling this to my friend last night. Recently, or I guess for a while, it's actually been a while since I've left the theater and not really known immediately what I feel about the movie. I can say this. I don't hate this movie at all. I also don't love this movie at all. I can very easily say both those things. So I fall somewhere in the middle. I guess I also wouldn't say I don't like it. It's probably somewhere in the like range. Now, I don't give scores, so that probably is very confusing, and it's very understandable that it's confusing. But no, it really is. It's in that, it was good, but it was messy. It's in that little category. Honestly, kind of like the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Now, again, Rotten Tomatoes review scores are not based off of that, but I think it's like a 78. Yeah, this is like a 6, 7, 8, probably depending on your individual ratings. I think the visual style was incredible. I think you could chalk all of that up to Sam Raimi. There's maybe other people to thank as well, but he would be kind of the one I would go to. There's some stuff, again, visually in terms of a horror aesthetic that you just don't, it's not in any other Marvel movie. And I will say this, the first Doctor Strange, when I saw it, and still even now, I truly believe this, is one of the most different Marvel movies ever. Now, it follows the same formula. Like the same stuff is going to happen in a Doctor Strange movie as any other movie. Not necessarily this one, I will say that. But the idea of all, the mirror dimension and all of these different visual kind of flares that they do, you just don't see it in any other. And you shouldn't, because, wizards and all that stuff, magic and all that stuff, like, it's different. And so what I will say is this movie felt very much the same while being this movie is not even close to Doctor Strange 1. It's entirely different. Again, new aesthetic in terms of a horror vibe, which I thought was I personally loved it. I know there's some people that were turned off by the horror aspect of the movie. I really liked it. It's not necessary, like, we have an 8-year-old daughter. She went. I don't think she was scared, but like if she was like 5, 6 years old and we didn't know, going in, I don't know if she would have made it through that movie, because there were some actually jump scares in it. A lot of Evil Dead you can kind of get that aesthetic, but a lot of stuff like that. There again some amazing shots. I loved it. I really, really thought it made the movie stand out. It was easily the most, I would say, I really would. I think what they did with the story was cool. It was generic in a way, but I liked it. It was kind of simplistic, which we'll talk about probably in the spoiler section. But I think the thing that really stood out to me the most was the visuals. It's unlike anything you've ever seen, at least in a Marvel movie, okay? And again, I really think Sam Raimi deserves a lot of that credit. The acting was awesome by at least a few of them. America Chavez, I have some issues with on and off. I guess without getting into spoilers, I actually liked her immediately, which I didn't think I would. Okay, I actually liked her as soon as she showed up, and then as the movie went on, I think she got worse, and then she got better at the end. So the arc was not what I expected. I kind of expected, in Marvel fashion, at least recently, with TV shows and what they've done with like Eternals and stuff, I kind of thought I wouldn't like her, and then either I would stay not liking her or she would get better as the movie went on. She actually started good, went down, and then went back up. So it was, and some of that I think was the acting quality of her. Now, she was 14, 15 when they filmed this, so I think she did pretty solid for the age. And then the rest of it I would chalk up to like character and writing and stuff like that. So, and in terms of speed, this movie moves so fast. We've heard rumors, and it's only rumors. I don't know. I don't think it's actually been confirmed. The rumor is this movie chopped like 20, 25 minutes off of it. Like it had 20, 25 more minutes in the movie, and they cut it. I feel like you could tell, because it probably did need to be longer, if nothing else, than to slow down a little. Now, I'm not opposed to movies that just go. In fact, this isn't a spoiler. In the beginning, because I won't say what it is, it immediately starts. Like, this movie doesn't have a slow start, you're immediately into something. So, and that was actually, like, I wasn't expecting that. The theater dims and it tells you to quiet your phones and all that stuff, and then music picks up and you're in. You're just immediately in. I feel like we haven't really gotten that in a while, so that kind of was, like, refreshing. So I'm not opposed to movies going fast. I really am not, and some movies work better that way. I think a movie like this, with the multiverse, with all of these different things happening, with the stuff that they were trying to do, again, I can't really say it right now, I feel like you could have taken a couple breaths, and of course there are times where, like, it does stop, but even in those times, like, it's still going. They're still doing something very big. If it's not like a really fast-paced thing, then it's introducing a big character, or whatever it may be. I don't want to say spoilers. So let me just say this again. I liked it. I'm not going to go see it again in theaters. That's not a negative, though, because rarely do I ever see a movie twice in theaters. Scream, one of my favorite franchises of all time, the fifth movie that came out in January, I only saw that movie once in theaters. So it's nothing against Doctor Strange. I'm just telling you my, my real life things that I do. But yeah, I definitely did like it. I would say that I liked it. I would not lean towards the bad side of things, but I really don't think I can say I loved it, because I didn't. I don't know. I walked out and I was like, yeah, I love some things about it, but I didn't love other things, so I just don't really know how to feel, and I still kind of hold that. So that's the spoiler-free. Looking at the time right now, that's the spoiler-free. We're going to go into spoilers right now, okay? So if you don't want to know, stay away, come back later, and here we go. All right, in terms of spoilers, well, the big spoiler, obviously, which I follow some leakers. Well, actually, no, I don't follow them. People like them and like them on Twitter, and then they pop up on my feed. So I can't actually say that I follow them, but I know who they are. I knew, like, a lot of this movie going in. Okay, I didn't necessarily know. Like, I knew Wanda would be the villain. I knew that, like, a year plus ago, so that wasn't shocking. It was interesting to see that play out. I think that's one of those things that I think you're either going to well, I don't know. I think there are probably different ways you can look at it. I didn't completely follow her arc, but I got it. I followed it for the purposes of the film. I think the idea that she goes nuts just to get her kids back makes sense in the scope of things, in what she's gone through in WandaVision. Like, I get it. But the fact of, like, killing, just such a... Now, again, she's got the Darkhold, and that changes you, right? So I get it. It's tough to see a character that you really like, which I do. I love Wanda. It's tough to see a character like that completely go off the rails to the point that she's unredeemable. That's the sad thing. And again, I don't know if that's necessarily a negative. That's going to probably depend on you. The idea that immediately, once she is the first wave of attacks that she has against Strange and all of them, when she kills, like, hundreds of sorcerers, right? It's like, okay, well, that's it. I can't forgive you. Like, if you forget, maybe it's tough, maybe it's stupid, because she literally enslaved an entire city, okay? So that's another thing, or town. So that's another thing you have to think about. Was she even good going into this movie? Should you even have been remotely on her side going into this movie? I would honestly say I was still, because she did redeem herself. But I can understand if you weren't. But then immediately when she just kills, like, all these people, she's very clearly evil. It's like, no, I can't forgive that. And so after that, like, I wanted her to have a redemption arc in this movie. I want her to redeem herself, and I thought there'd be another thing to fight that she would help with. But after that initial fight, I was like, well, she can't. You can't come back from that. You can go in prison for the rest of your life. You can try to help in some way, but you literally cannot come back. And then obviously what she does to the Illuminati members, it's like, well, you just killed their superhero, so, like, how am I supposed to forgive that either, right? So, that was something. Obviously, like I just said, the Illuminati. So I knew John Krasinski was going to be that. I knew, obviously, Professor X before the trailer. So, like, those things, Haley Atwell, like, all that stuff I knew. In terms of, like, their deaths and stuff, well, that was something. And again, that's where the horror aspect, I mean, I appreciate the graphicness of that specific fight when she kills the four of them. I love when she's using reflections to get to them right before they're sent to the multiverse. When she's trying to use reflections, and then she crawls through the whatever it is, the dawn, whatever you call that thing, and she literally has, like, the I don't know, when she's disformed and she has to kind of put herself back together. I love that. I mean, that's horror. I mean, you know what I mean? That's, again, that is Sam Raimi. So I'm very happy that those kind of things made, and the entire movie was like that. And in terms of, again, acting, whether you like or don't like what they did with Scarlet Witch, I think Elizabeth Olsen did phenomenal. I think obviously Benedict Cumberbatch did insanely well too. I mean, they were top tier, and they were asked to do a lot and things that they had never had to, her having to go off the deep end, which I guess she maybe did in WandaVision, but this was much worse. And then Doctor Strange having to play multiple versions of himself. I mean, they did great. They did phenomenal. I think, again, the idea of it just moving kind of too fast. Now, there were some points to slow it down with, in terms of them reliving their past memories. Like, that kind of stuff was fine. And that was a little bit more of a slowdown. But then you get to the cameos, and the cameos, it's tough because of how fast they were killed. Again, I appreciate the horror aspect of it, but they were killed very fast in the way that they were there simply for cameos. And this is, there's two rumors, or there's maybe one rumor that combines two different things. There's rumors that both Tom Cruise's Iron Man were cut out and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was cut out. Now, I don't think Tobey's Spider-Man would have been in that Illuminati kind of like headquarters, right? So that was going to probably be something fun. The Tom Cruise one, obviously, because of Ultron and the Illuminati headquarters and all that kind of stuff. Spider-Man No Way Home obviously did some things very, very right. And the issue is, what lessons do you take from, and we said this, what lessons do you take from Spider-Man No Way Home? The lessons you should take is that cameos are good, but you need to do something with those characters. The thing is, with Doctor Strange, they didn't really do anything with any of they made those characters very arrogant. They made them very like, we know better than everybody else. We lied to the public. I mean, they really weren't very good people, to be flat out honest with you. They were. I mean, their Doctor Strange also wasn't a good person, but the entire Illuminati group, very self-centered, maybe like the fictional or not fictional, depending on what you believe in. The Illuminati, maybe a reference there, right? So, but them being killed so quickly, again, fine. But also, they were just there for cameos. And that's fine, but it's not going to hold the same weight upon a second, third, fourth viewing. And that was a big part of the movie. In fact, if you take that part out, what do you think of the movie after that? You know what I mean? I thought, I want to say the use of magic was actually pretty okay. I was rather, with Wanda, I'm kind of mixed because I think they did some very cool stuff with, again, like using reflections to get through. Like, she did do some magic that we haven't seen. Or when she got into that guy's mind and she basically like teleports and she says run, like that was awesome. That was cool. So to see those kind of different abilities that she can do was sweet. But she still also, and I get it, I mean, she kind of has only one base power, like the throwing the red grenades, whatever you want to call them, right? It gets kind of boring after like the 6th or 7th movie or however many times we've seen her. So a little disappointing there, but I do get it, and also they did do some new stuff with her. I would say Strange, I'm fine with in terms of the magic use. I think he did enough new things. He had the old stuff, but it was fine. The music note battle was something. That's another example where it's like, I can see people loving it, I can see people hating it, or I can also see people saying like, in fact, my wife literally whispered like, what the F? Like, that's what she said to me when it was playing out. And it's like, yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it's cool, you're using music notes that you're taking from pages to shoot, like, fine, and the music changes depending on which Strange it was, but it's like, it is weird. It's just weird. I don't know if I can say that I liked it. I also can't say if I dislike. I mean, it's just it's an odd. This movie is odd. This movie is very, very. Well, I don't want to say the word strange. Like that's it. It just is. So I don't know. I'm trying to hit her dying at the end. Well, dying. See that's another thing. Does your opinion of this movie change whether she's dead or not? Because it makes it seem like she's dead, but also she maybe isn't dead. So it's like, well, what do you think about it if she does die? If she does die, I think that it's kind of a weird spot to do it. Again, I understand it, but my own personal opinion, I would say it's just a weird spot to do it. If she doesn't die, then that probably helps it, I guess, in my opinion. So you have to look at that. Again, like America Chavez, like she was fine specifically at the end. I really don't see any problem with her fighting Wanda and getting her in that other universe to kind of defeat her. That made sense. She did not overpower her. She couldn't. She's not strong enough. So fine. And again, I think she had that kind of arc where she was good right in the beginning, right in that first fighting scene. And then when she first meets Strange, I thought that was all good. And then she kind of got weak, and then she got better. Oh, one final thing I want to say. the CGI was all over the place. There were some really good, like, again, like, really nice moments, but also some horrible, like, in my opinion, that third eye, that it was awful. It was one of the worst CG moments I've ever seen, just in general. Not alone for, like, if we saw that in 2007, we may have said it was bad. We're seeing it in 2022. I think it looked awful. There was a couple other, the tentacle squid fight in the beginning, a lot of green screen usage, right? So there's more than just the eye, but the eye really stood out to me where it's like, that is absolutely atrociously bad. So like, again, kind of a mixed bag. I mean, there was definitely enough to say that I liked it, but was there enough to say that I loved it? I loved parts, but then there were also parts where I didn't love or just thought, like that eye or certain scenes were just not good, so that kind of brings it down. So that's why I don't give scores. It's hard. Also, scores are pretty subjective and based off the scale, and there's a whole reason why I don't do scores. But, yeah, that's how I think about this movie. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. I hope to see you guys on tomorrow's video.